Hello, Internet. This is not really a Wednesday serial. This is just going to be something a little offbeat. I wanted to do another video because of a lot of extra comics I've been reading lately. It's been a lot of Ninja Turtles, and that's what I'm going to make this video about. And if you don't want to hear me ramble endlessly about Ninja Turtles, turn it off. But I would say stick around, because if there's any corner of comics I know in and out in a way that few do, this would probably be it. Maybe recent Spider-Man, but whatever. I love Ninja Turtles, pretty much always have. I had a moment in my life where I was like, no, I've grown up. I'm not going to read Ninja Turtles anymore. I've advanced to reading Spider-Man. But that's coming on, and I'm just gonna spill all on that. So the impetus for me to make this video right now, today specifically, is because IDW released a Ninja Turtles classic comic today. It is the first comic of Ninja Turtles, which was intended to be a one-shot because they thought it wasn't gonna sell. You can't blame them, but god damn, they were wrong. I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. I know it's kind of an old tale, but I mean, these two guys who are just fans of Frank Miller and Jack Kirby, and that's what they got on, just decided to make this crazy comic. And in a day where independent publishing like that wasn't really a thing. Now, some people make it out to be this, like, revolutionary, crazy idea. Comic shops, I mean, I don't know this hidden out because I wasn't living at the time, but comic shops were coming up. Some were established, some were there, some were coming up. And these guys really released to kind of try to get to that market, at least locally at first. I mean, these were just some guys publishing, and that's back when, if you weren't making a comic through Marvel or DC or anything like that, you were mostly in the comics realm, usually like weed humor or erotic comics. And this is a comic, like, in light of superhero comics and all that, a bit more off the wall, but who is going to be interested in this? There's no, like, litmus test or anything. Like, it was just crazy off the wall, and I think the 80s got some different feelings in comics to people who grown up little. I mean, you had clearly Daredevil had been going on and kind of had this darker edge coming in, and something new like this, I think, you know, it just shows that people are looking for something new, and it caught on, clearly. And crazily enough, from what I understand, from what I've read, Eastman Laird actually talked to an agent because what they were looking to do was get a role-playing book, because they heard some people, role-playing company, were looking to try to do something with them and thought, you know, if the Ninja Turtles would work. And they talked to this agent who, the first time they talked to, you know, kind of laughed them out because Ninja Turtles, are you crazy? I mean, business guy, whatever. But comic kind of blew up, and he saw that at least within that market it was viable. And this guy apparently had a line to Playmate toys, and so they were looking for a toy line, and it kind of worked out that they wanted to give this a shot because they figure, you know, you tone it down a little, make it sellable to kids, and make a cool toy line. But this is the 80s, so if you want to sell a frickin' toy line, you have commercials, but really your commercial is the cartoon they're going to put together. And that's, after that, that's where it all went crazy. This is my understanding off of a couple things I read recently. I've been tooling around the net looking at a lot of different Turtle stuff, and this is kind of clearly not the best source that I read it off of. It was some forum somewhere, but sounds about in line with about how it would happen, right? So, just putting that out there. So anyway, I want to do a series of Turtle videos. I'll do them sporadically, kind of based on interest. If you have any curiosity to hear me ramble more at length at Turtles, and I'm going to keep going for a minute here, please let me know, because I'm only going to be as motivated to do this as I know at least a few people care. What I want to focus on right now is talking about the reprinting of the original comic. Like I said, IDW released one today, and it is a very digitally colored look. here, and I just want to show you this one-page layout. If you happen to have a copy of this comic in any reprinting, pages 28 and 29 are this beautiful double-page spread. Wah wah wah. Also, for anybody who does these videos who knows of a good way to scan in comics easily, I apparently need to learn how to do that. So if anyone has any tips there, you know, I've done it once before, but it took way too long. So the reason I wanted to show you that coloring is because long ago in the 80s, when the Turtles were just like, you know, comics, this company, now defunct, First Publishing, had 4 volumes of roughly the first 10 Ninja Turtle comics, along with the Leonardo one-shot, which was integral to the story, unlike the rest of the Ninja Turtle micro series one-shots, which just went through all the 4 really early on, mainly because early on the first few issues of Ninja Turtles were good, but they were kind of poor in establishing the Turtles as separate characters, and they really wanted to kind of make up for that. Again, keep in mind, you know, the first issue was this 40-issue crazy one-shot, but it was only meant to be a one-shot, so they didn't really plan on that, and so they made up for lost ground. They did it well, and all the stories are great. I'd argue, I mean, they were doing whatever they wanted, they were doing successful, so you can't argue with anything. Really, I mean, I think those one-shots, especially because there's huge breaks and they release them like normal issues, near as I can tell, because it was a sporadic shipping schedule. It could have just been issues within the series, but I think the buzz and the way they did it probably helped it sell better, so there you go. Anyways, this First Publishing had a colorist who went by the name... actually, the first one here actually had 3 colors. It was Kevin Eastman himself, Ken Fredericks, and Janice Cohen, and the same pages look like so. So, if you could tell, the First Publishing, older publishing, had a lighter color and actually let the ink go and use less red for blood or anything like that. May have not been very distinguished in that shot, but it is something that goes throughout. And honestly, the digital coloring works, but I have to say this older 80s hand-colored look really fits the comics so much better, and I honestly prefer it. That being said, if you don't have access to buying these older issues, I would recommend, at the very least, if you haven't read it before, go and pick up this copy of Ninja Turtles 1. There's probably some other printing you could look for and find another way, but the color does help, even if the digital coloring isn't always the best. But even if you're not a huge Turtles fan, reading this particular comic, I'd say, is a must if you're a comic fan. There's so many things they do right with paneling, weird little references to comics in general, like the little boy who's holding the 4 turtles is there, and then the kid who tackles him is supposed to be Daredevil. It's just, it's a magnificent comic on its own right, and it's essentially a samurai tale told with mutants set in New York City, and it's a crazy blend of elements, and it's just... on its own right, it's a good comic, and it's easy to see why. I mean, like, high premise, crazy, sure, whatever, that's norm for comics since, you know, ever. But, I mean, all the way back to the Yellow Kid, right? I mean, the way this was executed, like, it is, to date, like, just one of the best collected just single reads available. It's like some of the best 40 pages of comic storytelling you can run across. In the name of comics journalism, I contacted IDW a couple days ago, and I found out about this actually being released now. I heard that it was coming, but I didn't know. And so I found out, and I found out the price point's $3.99, which for a reprint that's just recolored, I was like, come on, really? I'll admit, I forgot it was 40 pages, and the only ads in this entire thing is the back cover. They have an IDW ad, then another IDW ad, but it's just ads on the back cover, and that's it. You could argue the in cover, but that's credits and saying that, you know, IDW has some Ninja Turtle comics, whatever. But other than that, it is just the comic, no ads, and it is 40 pages, so yeah, that's a bit pricey, and in this case, it is the 4th copy of this story I've ever purchased. I was getting this one in particular just because I wanted to look at how it was done. I think I'm going to continue purchasing them, even though I have the first chunk in color already, but I've been reading a lot of Turtles, and I'd like to kind of keep up with it and see how they recolor, and also see how these issues are done issue by issue. I still want to support them going through it, and it's great, and these really are some of the best comics that I can think of. Two of these being some of the best comics I can think of in light of the recent comic series, and then me recently watching the old 2003 series and stuff. I decided, you know, I've always meant to, but I never did go back and try to buy all these different Ninja Turtle comics. So I went back online and scoured a bunch of sites and tried to find a lot of the old stuff. I had, like I said, these old volumes, and then I had a good chunk of the first volume, Ninja Turtles. I owned volume 2, which was when the Mirage Publishing, that's who published it, was self-published, went to color after the big City at War event, which is what the final issues of volume 1 were, when Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird returned to the Ninja Turtles because they let other creators run with it for a while. After that, they went to Volume 2, which is this really weird, surreal story, and I'll talk about that later. Yeah, that was all color. And then the Turtles moved to Image, eventually, and had this crazy run there, which was not followed or considered in canon. Basically, it, like, follows Volume 2. And then it's its own thing, and then later Mirage picked it up again and started Volume 4 around 2002-ish. And they had Volume 4, which is a very awkward run with the Turtles. It was actually run a lot more like a just sit and talking heads drama, with the idea of aliens becoming the norm. And coming in and all that, and the Turtles being considered aliens. I was not a fan of those stories so much, but I saw what they're trying to do. Maybe I'll appreciate it now later, but yeah. And then, obviously in the tangent, obviously during the 80s and 90s, there was the Archie comics, had a bunch of different stuff. Interestingly, the end of the Archie run was actually just a 3-issue miniseries that was kind of separate and all around this talisman, where if you got these 4 pieces together, obviously, of the Turtles together, it would create this talisman that would grant all these powers, and the Shredder was trying to get it, and it was of a turtle, yada yada, and it was this crazy story. It was much better art than was ever in any of the Ninja Turtle Archie comics, and I found out recently it was written by Dan Slott. I only have the final issue of 3, and I'd like to find the first 2, but I can't seem to find those anywhere. Speaking of finding issues, which is part of what I wanted to get to, like I said, scoured the internet, and I found a lot of Volume 1 and Tales in the Ninja Turtles, the second volume of that, which was running concurrently with the Volume 4 one that I didn't like, but I liked the Tales of, but I couldn't find them much in the store at the time, and I always meant to go back and buy them. And now, going online, I have all of Volume 1, which I spent a lot of time buying, and all these Tales of, and a lot of weird spin-offs, like Turtle Soup and stuff, which I didn't know about. And so I've been buying a lot. I spent about $300 on getting all of these old Turtles comics, and now... Side note, I asked for comic recommendations for trades for this month after doing the last one, and this month I'm only going to review the ones of comics I already own because I went past my budget. Yeah, so I went back, and the truth is, even though I spent a lot of money, I didn't spend more than like $4 or $5 on any given issue. Most of them I spent $3 to $2, but some of them were hard to find otherwise. And so I was willing to pay a little bit more, realizing that every one of these are collector's items. Now, if you go onto eBay or My Comic Shop, or sadly, Mile High Comics, any of these comics, any single issue will not sell for less than $10, really. I've learned that if you use the internet in more creative ways, you'll find better things. So I wanted to talk about that and buying online, and I'd love to hear any tips you guys have, but I wanted to put a lot of this out for you because I think some of you might find it useful. So normally when I go online to buy comics, I go to Amazon.com because we have the Prime thing, and I'm just part of that. So free shipping if it's through Prime, and you can usually get a few dollars off, whatever. And that's great. And if you're looking for recently published stuff, or stuff that's abundant, you know, any Marvel or DC trades floating around, you're usually good. But if you're looking for older, more arcane stuff, or more importantly, issues, that's never the way to go. Now, a lot of things when you look online first is Mile High or My Comic Shop. Now, Mile High, I personally know some stories about what goes on here because I'm in Colorado. F that, do not buy it from them. If you find a better price on a comic at that store and you're buying any more than one comic, trust me, you'll do better to pony up for that one issue, and then everything else will just be better. That you can do better. I will say, however, using it as a tool to find what you're looking for is great because it has the best online database. So I use it as a tool, but I never use it as actually the place that I'll buy from. My Comic Shop, I used to run with a lot more, and they usually have decent prices, and their database is there, and you can get what you're looking for, and combining shipping is worth so much. So it's great for that. Now, if you poke around and use Google, if you're looking for a specific run of issues, or a specific kind of comic, like anything to denote it, I'm popping into Google, kind of like, in my case, Ninja Turtles 24 and stuff, and then like buy or shop, you'll come up with a lot of different comic stores, and you can start to try to feel out if there's a good shop for it. And sometimes you'll just find a good run, and it'll be some shop where normally they have some decent prices, but trying to navigate their site takes a little figure out, a little doing, but you know, to save $10 on an order, it's worth it. And that's one way you can do, and I've found a number of stores this way, and I never bother to remember because they're probably not going to have great deals the next time I look for something arcane, and just go forward and use that tactic again to find what you're looking for. The one shop I did want to bring up that was a godsend for me trying to find a lot of these comics was atomicavenue.com. All lowercase, all one word, just Atomic Avenue. It's a great thing, and it's not like other comic shops. It's not like some guy just has stock and he's selling, which is what you normally see. What it is it allows collectors that are trying to get rid of comics from their collections. They put it up, and they put it up for whatever they think it's going to sell for, I guess. I'm not 100%, but basically, I found issue after issue that I was normally seeing priced at like $10, like $1.75, $3, whatever. And a lot of cases, you'd pull up a comic, and there's like 3 people selling. And the one guy who had the most collection tended to be the price you're at. The price you're at being like $3 a comic. Boo frickin' who, right? Like, $3 for some 80s comic that's impossible to find normally? Hell yes. So, blew through that. The trick to it is if you're going through and you're pulling up a lot, if you can, you want to target the same seller if you can, because they're going to combine shipping and ship to you, whereas if you buy one comic from one guy, which I made the mistake of doing because I didn't look it over as carefully as I should, but I was so grateful to go through the site at that point. It doubled the price because I had to pay shipping for that one comic, which was a shame, but whatever. And so that got me through a lot of it. I will say, because I was looking for Ninja Turtles, and if you're looking for Ninja Turtle comics as well, if you want to talk about all this, I would say looking at the first publishing of the first chunk with the color and all that. It's a beautiful collection. It's really simple. It's just their oversized comic pages. You can find those on eBay and stuff, and they're usually selling for a decent chunk for the lot or whatever, and it is the cheapest way you are going to obtain those first 10 issues and the Leonardo Mini. Beyond that, I would recommend Atomic Avenue, and then what I did is Mirage Publishing. If you look for it, they're trying to get rid of whatever stock they have because they're done. They sold the Turtles to Nickelodeon, and I don't know if the Fugitoid rights were along with that, and there's a few other comics, but not much, that Mirage had too. Curious if anyone knows, Usagi Yojimbo had a small stint with Mirage, and I'm not sure if those comics are collected elsewhere. That'd be good to know. And there's also Space Usagi, which was a weird thing too, which I never read, but there you go. So there's a lot of that on sale. When I say on sale, it's pretty much cover price, which for a lot of those comics, if you're interested in it, that's about as good as you're gonna do. Also a few posters and other things. So putting that out there. So anyways, I'm going to try to throw together a couple of videos. I don't want to go through every comic, but I do want to talk about chunks or runs of Ninja Turtles. So soon I'm hoping to do kind of a first chunk, kind of everything leading up to Return Home, where Turtles go back to New York after being punked out by the Shredder after he comes back from the dead. And yeah, but I'd like to go through the different volumes and whatnot and talk about that. Hopefully anyone has interest. If so, let me know. And I know this has been the most rambly video, but that's what these would be. Yeah, so there you go. If anyone has any love for the Turtles or memory of that, please share. And yes, hopefully I will hit you soon with another one of these. And again, if any of you have any buying habits for online or anything that you'd like to share, please share that. I was putting some of that out there because it's been a trip, and I spent hours upon hours trying to find these comics. And truth be told, there's still a number of the Tales Volume 2 that I don't have, that I'm trying to find, but I got all of Volume 1, so I'm sated for now. And the hardest one to find was issue 24, which I kept digging for, and I found one site that finally had it, and they just had it for $3.50. I wasn't willing to go on eBay and buy a lot for another like $25 just for the one comic if I could help it. And I had to go past minimum order, so I ordered a couple of old X-Men comics. But crazy, right? Yeah, if you just keep digging, you can usually find what you look for online at fairly decent prices. It's rare that I think you need to pay a collector's price for a comic, as long as you're willing to take comics in a condition that are well read. So there you go. That's the lesson for you.